There are many different safety considerations you need to think about on your job every day. People who work in housekeeping have specific duties and responsibilities. The kitchen staff has their own set of rules and regulations relating to their work. Workers in the maintenance shop face an entirely different hazards than those working in the laundry. There is, however, one safety concern that applies to everyone, and that is safe lifting. Whether you work in housekeeping, the kitchen, or maintenance, you need to learn safe lifting techniques and practice them every time you lift anything. It's vital to your own safety and health. Remember, the only person that can prevent back injuries is you. The property can provide you with training and information, but it's really up to you. After all, you're the one who does the lifting, and only you can make sure you do it right. You might ask why safe lifting is so important. It's a common question, and the answer is simple. Unsafe lifting causes back injuries. That's a fact that cannot be denied. You may have been lifting incorrectly for years, but it only takes one unsafe lift to seriously injure your back. Is it really worth the risk? A back injury can result in severe pain, time off from work, reduced pay, and painful rehabilitation. Smart people lift safely. Your spine or backbone is a very sensitive part of your body. It provides your body with good flexibility and good back posture. The spine is made up of vertebrae or bones separated by discs. These discs act as a cushioning agent between the vertebrae and allow your back to remain flexible. Improper lifting can damage 3 different components of your back. Over the years, incorrect lifting procedures can cause degeneration of spinal discs. This condition is permanent and very serious. The muscles and ligaments in your back are designed to stretch when you move, but overstretching can cause the muscles to tear. It's easy to see why safe lifting techniques are so important. The basic safe lifting procedure is simple and easy to understand. To begin, place your feet close to the item you are going to lift. Squat down, close to the object, keeping your back in its natural curvature. Get a good grip on the object. Next, bring the item close to your body to reduce the stress caused by the 10-to-1 lever principle. Once you have the item close to your body, stand up keeping your back as straight as possible. That's the basic safe lifting technique, and it does work. Let's take a quick look at a complete safe lift to show you again the proper method. Remember, bend your legs, not your back. But in a hotel environment, you're not always just picking up a box. This is where your common sense and good judgment comes to play. If at any time you feel an item is too heavy to lift or move alone, ask for help. Don't try to lift it alone. Twisting your back while lifting can also create back problems. You should never twist while lifting anything. This point is often overlooked because people are busy trying to get the job done, and sometimes they forget about safety. Instead of twisting your back, pick the item up, pivot your feet, then set the item down. Or rearrange the items to reduce the need to twist. This simple method can save you a lot of potential pain and agony. Don't overstretch your back. We realize that you must stretch to a certain degree to perform your job in an efficient manner. But there's no reason to overstretch. Stretching too far can damage muscles and stretch ligaments in your back. When making a bed, don't bend over when tucking the sheets under the mattress. Squat down and then tuck in the sheets. It doesn't take any more time and it protects your back. If you have to lift something over your head, do so very carefully. Lift the item from the ground and set it on the shelf or other mid-level surface. Then, reposition your grip and carefully lift the item over your head. Safe lifting procedures should never be ignored. Even if the item you lift is lightweight, such as bed linens, procedures must be followed. Bend your legs, keeping your back in its natural curvature, and then lift the item. If at any time you have a question about your ability to perform a lift safely, stop and ask your supervisor. They would rather show you the right way than lose a valuable associate. Also, push carts. Pulling a cart places undue stress on your back, arms, and shoulders. Push the cart. The point we want to stress most is personal responsibility. You and no one else are responsible for the health and condition of your back. If you practice safe lifting techniques, it will greatly reduce your risk of injury, and you'll be a safer and more professional associate. Nobody else can do it for you. A healthy and pain-free back is a luxury taken for granted by many individuals. Don't take your health for granted. Follow the safe lifting techniques outlined in this program, and you'll be doing your part to prevent back injury. Remember, bend your legs, not your back. Don't overstretch. Avoid twisting while lifting. And get help with heavy or awkward items. Exposures to blood and other body fluids occur across a wide variety of occupations. Healthcare workers, emergency response, and public safety personnel and other workers can be exposed to blood through needle stick and other sharps injuries, through contact with mucous membranes such as nose and eyes, and through breaks in the skins such as cuts and open sores. It's also possible to be exposed in the hospitality industry. The pathogens of primary concern are the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, hepatitis B virus, HBV, and hepatitis C virus, HCV. These viruses cause disease and can lead to serious illnesses and in some cases death. The most common workplace exposure is hepatitis B. Pathogens for hepatitis B can survive for several days on all kinds of surfaces. By following these procedures, you'll dramatically reduce your chance of being exposed to or infected with these deadly viruses. They're called blood-borne pathogens because exposure usually occurs from contact with blood, but not always. Other body fluids can contain small amounts of infected blood and transmit these viruses as well. The first rule to remember is treat all blood and body fluids as if they are contaminated. Don't take chances. Serious diseases require serious attention. Your employer must provide access to your property's blood-borne pathogens exposure plan. If you want or need more information about this plan, ask your supervisor. An occupational exposure refers to an exposure to blood or other infectious body fluid that may occur during the performance of your regular job duties. The job duties you perform may result in an occupational exposure to contaminated needles, contaminated broken glass, blood, or other body fluid hazards that may be present in your work area. Regardless of the hazard, you need to take steps to prevent exposure to blood and other body fluids. You should always wear latex, vinyl, or rubber gloves when cleaning any guest room or handling dirty linen or terry materials, such as sheets and towels. Even if there are no visible potential blood-borne pathogen exposure, these gloves will help protect you. Washing your hands frequently throughout the day will also help prevent exposure. Never handle broken glass with your bare hands. Use tongs or a broom and dustpan to pick up the glass. Place blood-contaminated broken glass in a sharps container, biohazard trash can, or other approved location. If you find a hypodermic needle, beware. These items should also never be touched by your bare hands. Contact your supervisor, or if you have been trained, use tongs and dispose of the needle in a sharps container. Never reach your hand into a trash can. Remove the contents by lifting out the bag or liner. Sharps containers must be stored in a secured location where the shortest person in the area can see the top of the container. This prevents a blind spot at the top of the container, where sharps could possibly be sticking out, exposing someone to cuts or needle stick injuries. Sheets, bedspreads, pillows, or linens contaminated with blood or other body fluids should be handled with care. All contaminated items and waste must be placed in a closable, leak-proof biohazard bag or container. Do not overfill these containers. When handling filled biohazard bags, use caution, as these bags may contain broken glass, needles, or other sharp objects. Biohazard bags and containers must never be thrown into a regular trash. An authorized service should be called to remove and properly dispose of biohazard waste. Personal protective equipment, or PPE, is designed to prevent exposure to blood-borne pathogens. Gloves can help prevent skin exposures. For protection from blood spatters or splashes into the eyes or mouth, eye and face protection should be worn. Always be prepared when handling clothing, towels, bedding, or linens. There may be sharp objects present that you cannot see. Gently shake out sheet and towels before removing them. An improperly discarded needle or contaminated glass could be hidden in sheets or towels. Beware. Generally, minor first aid procedures, such as those administered for small cuts and abrasions, require only rubber gloves for protection. But if you ever have any question about what PPE to wear to prevent an exposure incident, stop what you're doing and ask your supervisor first. Always discard the gloves after use or after a contamination incident. Here's the proper way to remove latex and vinyl gloves. As you can see, you must remove gloves in this way to prevent your unprotected skin from contacting the outside or contaminated portion of the glove. After removing the gloves, wash your hands with an antibacterial soap. Proper housekeeping procedures are also part of the exposure control plan. All potentially contaminated surfaces, equipment, personal protective equipment require cleaning and sanitizing. Let's say an associate cut himself on a piece of machinery or equipment. The machine is now contaminated and must be cleaned and sanitized. Cleaning is merely cleaning dirt and major residue from the surface using soap and water. Sanitizing means you're killing the bacteria and pathogens by using a disinfectant or other chemical sanitizer. Cleaning is just one part of your job. Sanitizing is the second. So what is the procedure if you do experience an exposure incident, such as a needle stick, contamination of the mouth, eye, mucous membrane, or other puncture of the skin? Basically, wash the exposed area with water. Report it to your supervisor immediately, and seek medical attention as quickly as possible. Fast action is the key to prevention. Post-exposure evaluation and follow-up programs will be made available to you should you be exposed to blood-borne pathogens. Medical records are confidential, and only certain information may be provided to your employer. At no time will the results of any testing or other medical evaluation be reported to your employer. Your doctor will discuss all pertinent evaluations and diagnosis with you. Your rights and confidentiality are protected. It's your responsibility to follow your property's rules and exercise good judgments when handling laundry, clothing, or working with any contaminated surface or area. The most important part of controlling and preventing exposure is your attitude. If you have a good attitude, or are aware of potential hazards, you can take the necessary steps to prevent exposure. Then you're doing your part for safety. Follow the rules. Wear the required personal protective equipment. Take a personal responsibility for safety and do your part. If you want more information regarding blood-borne pathogens or how to prevent an exposure incident, ask your supervisor. He'll be glad to help. Remember, blood-borne pathogens can cause deadly diseases. Treat all blood or body fluids as being infected. Protect yourself at all times with gloves. Be aware of potential hazards. Take steps to avoid contact with blood or body fluids. Fire prevention is another important aspect of the safety of your property. A fire in a hotel can have devastating effects, and we all need to do what we can to make sure a fire never happens. Your property is equipped with many life-saving measures such as fire alarms, sprinklers, emergency lights, and exit lights. These should be functioning properly at all times. If you notice fire safety equipment that is damaged or malfunctioning, notify your supervisor immediately. Familiarize yourself with the emergency evacuation map and know what route to take in the event of a fire or other emergency taking place. Keep all hallways, stairwells, and emergency exits clear at all times to ensure safe evacuation. Nothing should ever be stored in stairwells. There are many things you can do to help prevent a fire. Keep storage areas clean and well organized. Never store anything within 3 feet of an electrical panel or closet. Keep electrical panels closed and latched when not in use. Also, keep materials at least 18 inches below automatic sprinkler heads. Store all flammable liquids in approved storage cabinets. Be sure you smoke only in designated areas. Smoking in non-smoking areas can lead to accidental fires. Please dispose of smoking material carefully. If you should be the first to discover a fire, remember the term CARE. Contain the fire by closing doors and sealing off the affected areas. Activate the alarm at the nearest manual pull station. These are typically located next to exit and stairwell doors. Report the fire using a house or guest phone. Evacuate the area. Knock on guest room doors and assist guests to the exits. If you hear a fire alarm, always assume the threat is real. Remain calm. Don't panic. If you work at the front desk, call 911 to report the alarm. If you are working in other areas of the hotel, help clear the corridors. Assist with the evacuation if possible, to help ensure all guests and employees make their way out of the building. Everyone should gather at their established rally point so that a roll call can be taken to ensure everyone is accounted for. You should know where fire extinguishers are located and how to use them. In the event of a fire, personal safety is the most important concern. If there's any doubt about the safety or you're unsure about using an extinguisher, leave the area and the fire suppression activities to the professionals. If you can extinguish a small fire safely, remember the word pass. Pull the pin. Aim the nozzle at the base of the fire. Squeeze the handle on the extinguisher and sweep the nozzle from side to side. Odds are you'll never experience a fire in your facility, but that doesn't lessen the need for effective preparedness and fire prevention. Do your part to keep your property safe from the threat of fire. Remember, keep storage areas clean and well organized. Never store anything within 3 feet of an electrical panel or closet. Store all flammable liquids in approved storage cabinets. If you hear a fire alarm, always assume the threat is real. Know where fire extinguishers are located and how to use them.
We live in a world of chemicals. Our bodies produce and use chemicals. Plants and trees produce them. Even water is a chemical compound. Other chemicals in our world are man-made synthetic compounds. Although we don't know exactly how many man-made chemicals are in use today, experts generally agree it could be more than 100,000. Gasoline, paints, household cleaners, detergents, toiletries, wipes, solvents, everyday products used at home or work are made of chemicals. Before using any chemical product, you should find out all you can about it, and this information is literally at your fingertips in free publications called Safety Data Sheets, or SDSs. OSHA's Hazard Communication Standard requires chemical manufacturers, distributors, or importers to provide safety data sheets, formerly known as Material Safety Data Sheets or MSDSs, to communicate the hazards of chemical products. All safety data sheets are required to follow a specific format and provide detailed information in 16 different sections. To protect yourself, your coworkers, and your family members, here are the top 10 things you should look for on a product safety data sheet. What is the emergency phone number? If someone is injured, hurt, falls ill, or poisoned by a chemical product, who would we call to get more information? You can be sure emergency medical personnel, especially physicians and nurses, will want to see the safety data sheet. The manufacturer or distributor's name, address, and phone number is required to be right up front in Section 1, along with 24/7 emergency phone numbers. What is this product recommended for, and are there any restrictions on its use? This information is also required to be included in Section 1. How dangerous is this product? Statements like causes irreversible eye damage, highly flammable, and can cause central nervous system damage appear on safety data sheets even for seemingly harmless everyday household products. Section 2 is called Hazards Identification, and it is required to include all hazards regarding the chemical. What do you do if the product gets in your eyes, on your skin? What if you inhale or swallow some? Section 4, First Aid Measures, lists the signs and symptoms of exposure to the chemicals and whether the effects are usually immediate or delayed, and the appropriate first aid measures to take. If the product is accidentally spilled or otherwise released from its container, how do we clean it up? What materials can we use? And how do we dispose of everything properly? Should we wear masks or gloves, eye protection? All this should be listed under Section 6, Accidental Release Measures. Are there any specific cautions we should be aware of to make sure we are safely handling and storing the containers of this product? Is it dangerous to store in certain places or near other chemicals or products? Does it have to be in a temperature-controlled environment? Section 7, Handling and Storage, provides this information. When using this product, what personal protective equipment should we be using? Should we use special gloves, splash goggles, or protective clothing? What should we do to prevent exposure to any hazardous chemicals in the product? Will we need to provide extra ventilation? Section 8, Exposure Controls, Personal Protection, tells us what we need to do to engineer a safe environment when using the chemical. What does the product look like? What color is it? Does it have a distinctive odor? Are the vapors heavier or lighter than air? At what temperature will it ignite? Is it an acid or alkali? Section 9, Physical and Chemical Properties, lists the chemical characteristics we should know. What other materials should never be mixed with this product? Can it become unstable if exposed to heat, light, or anything else? Could this product react with other materials like metals, causing it to decompose into a dangerous, hazardous chemical? Some chemicals, when combined with certain others, can cause an explosion or fire. Section 10, Stability and Reactivity, outlines these cautions along with any known hazardous reactions. One of the most important sections of the SDS is Section 11, Toxicological Information. Could repeated exposures to this product cause allergic reactions? Are there any short or long-term health effects to exposure? Is this product associated with birth defects? Can exposure cause genetic mutations? Can it affect reproductive organs or the development of a fetus? By what routes can this chemical enter our bodies? And is anything in this product known to promote or cause cancers? Section 11 outlines this important information. When working with chemicals, we can never have enough information. Get the safety data sheets and read them thoroughly. Protect yourself, your coworkers, and your family.
Control of hazardous energy sources, or lockout-tagout, is a program that our property has implemented for the safety of all associates. This program provides an overview of lockout-tagout training requirements, definitions, and safe work procedures required to protect associates who perform lockout-tagout and those who are affected by lockout-tagout. Lockout-tagout must be used during the servicing and/or maintenance of machines or equipment, and when there is a potential for unexpected energization or startup or release of stored energy. Now, before we go any further, let's discuss the two different categories of associates requiring knowledge and training in lockout-tagout procedures. The first category is authorized associates. These are maintenance personnel who actually use lockout and tagout procedures while they are repairing or maintaining equipment. The second category is affected associates. This describes any associates who uses or works around equipment in machinery. It's recommended that virtually all associates be in the affected associate category. To adequately protect both authorized and affected associates, the machine's energy source or sources must be disabled before maintenance, service, or repair is performed. The first thing to do is to identify all hazardous energy sources associated with the machine. Each machine or piece of equipment must be inspected by trained persons to determine energy sources and adequate lockout-tagout procedures. These procedures must be documented if the equipment has multiple energy sources, multiple lockouts are required, 2 or more associates are repairing or servicing the equipment, the equipment has a potential to store or reaccumulate energy. Remember, electricity is not the only form of hazardous energy. Control of hazardous energy systems also includes mechanical, hydraulic, pneumatic, chemical, thermal, and other energy sources. Once identified, these energy sources must be controlled by locking them out to the off or safe position. Energy is considered adequately controlled or isolated when an unplanned event, such as someone attempting to turn the machine on, will not override or bypass the lockout control. There is one exception to the lockout rule, and that's equipment connected only by an electrical cord and plug. You do not have to lock out cord and plug equipment if there are no other hazardous energy sources. The major requirement for cord and plug equipment is that the person performing the work must have control over the plug, thus preventing someone else from plugging in the cord and energizing the equipment. If plug control cannot be maintained, then the plug needs to be locked out. The name of the person who locked the equipment out must be written on the tag. This person is the only person allowed to remove the lock or tag. In some circumstances, multiple locks and/or tags are used. Never under any circumstances remove a lock or tag or attempt to start a machine that has been locked and tagged out. Associates who are affected by lockout-tagout procedures are to be notified by the authorized associate before the lockout is applied and after the lockout is removed, and when the machine or equipment is safe to use. Clearing jams is another area of concern. A good rule of thumb is that if an associate has to remove a guard exposing himself to hazardous energy sources, the lockout-tagout procedures must be used. You need to develop specific procedures for each machine, and all authorized and affected associates must be trained in these procedures. Associate training must be provided to ensure everyone is educated in lockout-tagout procedures. Associates must know what lockout-tagout means, and that they are not to remove tags without authorization under any circumstances. The next part of an effective lockout-tagout program is an annual inspection process. An inspection ensures associates are trained and knowledgeable on lockout-tagout policies and procedures, and that these procedures are being properly used when required. Documentation of the annual inspections is required. The person conducting the inspection should be an authorized employee but who does not utilize the lockout-tagout energy control procedure being inspected. In other words, maintenance people who perform lockout-tagout procedures on the machine or equipment being inspected do not conduct the inspection. Lockout and tagout hardware such as locks, tags, and hasps are provided by your property. Lockout-tagout hardware may only be used for lockout-tagout purposes and cannot be used for any other job tasks. This pertains especially to the tags because lockout tags used for other purposes may dilute the meaning of the tag. Each individual must accept the responsibility of being aware of the rules and following your organization's policies and procedures exactly. The purpose of lockout and tagout is accident prevention, safeguarding the machine operators and the maintenance associates serving the equipment. Safety has always been a team effort, and lockout-tagout is no different. Remember, failure to lock out and tag machinery before working on it is a major cause of injury. There's a big difference between turning off a machine and actually disabling a piece of equipment. All equipment being serviced or repaired that poses a hazard must be locked out and tagged before the service or maintenance is performed. Never remove a lock or tag or attempt to start a machine that has been locked and tagged out. Lockout-tagout hardware may only be used for lockout-tagout and cannot be used for any other purpose. Lockout-tagout is a vital part of injury prevention, so if you're not sure about a particular procedure, ask your supervisor. Don't take chances, because failure to properly lock and tag out when necessary can lead to potentially serious injuries.
In this short video, we will show you something most people don't realize about what causes us to trip and fall and how to avoid this dangerous hazard. Slips, trips, and falls constitute the majority of general industry accidents and result in back injuries, strains and sprains, contusions, and fractures. A trip happens when your foot or lower leg hits an object and stops, but your upper body continues moving, resulting in loss of balance. But first, let's understand one very important thing that we all have in common. Can you tell what it is? When a person takes a step, their foot comes off the ground about half an inch before it steps back down again. Therefore, anything that sticks up a half inch or more can cause you to trip, and then your momentum can cause you to fall. If you're lucky, you'll walk away with a few bumps and bruises, but for the not-so-lucky, falls result in 15% of all accidental deaths and are second only to motor vehicles as a cause of fatalities. What did you trip over the last time you fell? People tend to trip over things that we see all the time but don't normally notice. Things like a slightly curled up edge of a carpet or mat, extension cords, uneven walking surfaces like cracks in sidewalks or other walking surfaces, thresholds in doorways, tools, even those cute little pets snoozing in doorways cause hundreds of falls every day. Can you spot the trip hazards in this photo? Here's one where the surface changes elevation about an inch, and another change in elevation. Would you see this one? And two more changes in elevation, each more than half an inch. Anywhere you see a crack in a walking surface lurks a potential trip hazard. This is a joint in the sidewalk. Hard to see, but the difference here is almost 3/4 of an inch, more than enough to cause a fall. But can you see the other hazard? Here, almost invisible, but the crack should be enough to warn you. The elevation here changes only slightly, but enough to cause a hazard. We can get so used to hazards we forget they're there. This one was painted yellow, but it's been scuffed over so many times it's getting harder to see. A common type of hazard is any area where one type of walking surface ends and another begins, like where carpeting meets tile, or the edge of a parking lot. Sharp, unexpected changes in elevation are particularly dangerous. This one's much bigger than half an inch. A warning could save a terrible injury or even a life, maybe your own. A simple door threshold sticks up enough to trip anyone walking in or out. Hazards hide in plain sight, especially if the lighting is bad or if we are doing something that blocks our vision. Pay attention. If you're walking and texting, reading, daydreaming, or doing anything other than not paying attention to where your feet are going, you might as well be walking blindfolded because your eyes are not working for you, they're distracted. You can avoid injury because tripping and falling is preventable. Keep in mind that it's the little things we don't normally look for that can hurt us the most. As you're walking today, how many trip hazards can you spot? At work, at home, in the parking lot, or wherever you go. Remember, it only takes half an inch to change your day for the worse. Use your eyes and be aware of those little trip hazards as you walk.
Safety glasses, face shields, gloves. They're called PPE, or personal protective equipment. Does your property provide PPE? Of course it does. Are you instructed in what type of PPE is required and when it's to be used? Yes. Does PPE prevent workplace injuries? Yes, it does. That's why it's called personal protective equipment, but it's also a choice. That's right, a choice. You must make the choice to wear the appropriate PPE when required. No one can make it for you. Make the right choice, and odds are you won't experience a work-related injury. It's your choice. Your property has assessed the work area and identified what PPE can best protect you from the hazards and risks associated with your specific job duties and responsibilities. They look at the whole picture, the hazards of the environment where you work, the hazards of processes that are taking place, mechanical hazards, biological hazards, or any other kind of hazard that might cause injury. That seems to be the hard part, but it's not. The hazards have been identified, the appropriate PPE has been selected, and now it's up to you to wear it. That's the hard part. For some people, it may seem simple enough. After all, just about everyone knows about PPE and when and where they should wear it, but sometimes they don't. They get busy, they get distracted, or they just don't think that an injury will happen to them. All too often, that's a very bad decision. You are required to wear eye protection if your workplace or duties contain potential hazards that may cause injuries to your eyes or face. Protection ranges from basic safety glasses to goggles to full face shields. Eye injuries are very serious, and unlike a broken bone or laceration, they usually are permanent. Always wear eye protection when required, because it's really up to you. You miss a lot that you may now take for granted if you can't see it. Know the hazards around you and always wear the proper protection. If you're using a grinder, wear safety glasses and a face shield. Whatever the hazard, you must take the steps to protect yourself. Be glad you can read a sign like this. Do what it says. No one is going to put the eye protection on for you. It's your choice. If noise in your work area reaches 85 decibels or at a level where you have to shout to be heard, hearing protection is required. This protection is available in two basic forms: earplugs and earmuffs. Putting on earmuffs is pretty simple. Pick them up and put them over your ears. Earplugs are a little bit more difficult. It may seem easy, but if earplugs are not inserted properly, they offer little or no hearing protection. If the plugs are the soft disposable type, roll them into a ball. Reach behind your head and pull your ear gently up and back. With your other hand, insert the plug into the ear canal by gently pushing it opposite the direction you are pulling your ear, down and toward the front of your head. If done properly, you will achieve a proper fit and effective hearing protection. It takes practice. The hearing protection is provided and available, but will you wear it? It's your choice. Your hands are remarkable instruments capable of a vast array of intricate tasks. Without the use of your hands, you probably won't be able to perform your job. That's why it makes sense to protect them. Gloves can help prevent cuts, abrasions, burns, and skin contact with chemicals. Selecting the right glove for the right job is the most important thing to remember about protecting your hands. If you are unsure about what gloves to wear or have any questions about PPE or other safety concerns, stop what you're doing and ask your supervisor. Do you want to know or do you want to guess? It's your choice. It's important that all PPE be kept clean and properly maintained. If your safety glasses are dirty or scratched, they could impair your vision. If your earplugs are old and worn out, they may not offer full protection. Make sure all of your PPE is cleaned and maintained on a regular basis. If you take care of it, it will take care of you. You should inspect each item of personal protective equipment before use every time. If you don't know if it's in good shape, how do you know if it will provide the required protection? You don't. Inspect your PPE. If your equipment is damaged, worn, or otherwise unfit, don't use it. Dispose of it properly and replace it. Don't wait. We certainly haven't covered every aspect of PPE use, and conditions present in your workplace may require additional equipment or special procedures. The important thing to remember is that the best PPE in the world does absolutely nothing if you don't wear it. It's your responsibility to be aware of the hazards of your workplace and wear the proper protection to mitigate the hazard. The company can't do it for you. Your supervisor can't do it for you. Your coworker can't do it for you. Only you can make the decision to protect yourself. Do you care about your health, your job, your family? If you do, then you'll wear appropriate PPE when required.
Don't fall from a ladder. Don't use the wrong ladder. Before use, always inspect a ladder for cracks and loose rungs. Choose a ladder that is long enough so that you can stay off the top rungs. When climbing or descending, always use 3 points of contact. Don't overreach. Gravity will pull you down. Be sure of your balance by keeping your belt buckle between the rails. A ladder should have secure, unbroken safety feet. Use a board on soft earth or anywhere you need to securely level the feet. Always be mindful of the 4-to-1 rule. Set the ladder 1 foot out for every 4 feet up to the point of support. Rungs are 1 foot apart, so it's easy to figure the angle. After inspecting your ladder, take any ladder out of service if it has broken or missed rungs, broken or split side rails, or any other faulty or defective construction. Ladder feet must be placed on a substantial base, and the area around the top and bottom of the ladder shall be kept clear. Ladders are not made to be used in a horizontal position as platforms, runways, or scaffolds. Ladders should not be placed in passageways, doorways, driveways, or any location where they may be hit or disturbed by other activities. Other workers and other people are not going to watch out for you, so if you have to set up in a common area, protect yourself and your ladder with barricades or guards. Inattention is the main weak spot in the defense against falls. So whatever you are doing, remember 3 rules. First of all, watch what you are doing. Stay aware of what you are doing and concentrate. And the most important rule, don't let distractions ruin your day or your life. Thanks for watching and have a safe day.
It may feel like just another day at the office, but occasionally, life feels more like an action movie than reality. The authorities are working hard to protect you and to protect our public spaces. But sometimes bad people do bad things. Their motivations are different. The warning signs may vary, but the devastating effects are the same. And unfortunately, you need to be prepared for the worst. If you were ever to find yourself in the middle of an active shooter event, your survival may depend on whether or not you have a plan. The plan doesn't have to be complicated. There are 3 things you could do that make a difference. Run, hide, fight. First and foremost, if you can get out, do. Always try and escape or evacuate, even when others insist on staying. Encourage others to leave with you, but don't let them slow you down with indecision. Remember what's important, you, not your stuff. Leave your belongings behind and try to find a way to get out safely. Trying to get yourself out of harm's way needs to be your #1 priority. Once you are out of the line of fire, try to prevent others from walking into the danger zone and call 911. If you can't get out safely, you need to find a place to hide. Act quickly and quietly. Try to secure your hiding place the best you can. Turn out lights, and if possible, remember to lock doors. Silence your ringer and vibration mode on your cell phone. And if you can't find a safe room or closet, try to conceal yourself behind large objects that may protect you. Do your best to remain quiet and calm. As a last resort, if your life is at risk, whether you are alone or working together as a group, fight. Act with aggression. Improvise weapons. Disarm him. And commit to taking the shooter down, no matter what. Try to be aware of your environment. Always have an exit plan. Know that in an incident like this, victims are generally chosen randomly. The event is unpredictable and may evolve quickly. The first responders on the scene are not there to evacuate or tend to the injured. They are well trained and are there to stop the shooter. Your actions can make a difference for your safety and survival. Be aware and be prepared. And if you find yourself facing an active shooter, there are 3 key things you need to remember to survive. Run, hide, fight.